Hello, we're going to go through the first week of a 4-week program, corrective exercise program for a 27-year-old male who had recently lost 207 pounds and just wants to increase his physical activity level. So we're just going to cover all of the exercises within the entire first week. So let's get started. To start, I will address slightly rounded shoulder posture. So we're going to start with foam rolling both sides, the latissimus dorsi as well as the teres major. To do that, laying on down, extend your arm, keep a nice tight core, and then start from distal or proximal, pausing on any tender areas and holding for 30 seconds. We want to work from the origin all the way into the insertion. Again, that's for the lat and the teres major, which actually internally rotate that shoulder, so that'll help relieve that. Also, we want to do the pectorals. So lay on the foam roller. I like working medial to lateral. Again, pausing for 30 seconds on any tender areas. Will typically be more tender on the insertion of the humerus. And then I like to do it with my arm abducted, 90, and also in flexion, shoulder flexion to isolate that pec minor just a little bit. Good. And then on top of that, we will hit the right subject had a right asymmetric shift in the neck, so we want to use trigger point release to relieve the levator scap and the upper trap. So what I'm going to do is find the superior angle of the scap right there and go about 1 inch above. So superior angle of the scap, go about 1 inch above. Typically there's a trigger point right there. I'm going to hold for 30 seconds and just 30 to 90 seconds and just let that muscle try and get that to melt away. You can do this 2 or 3 times as that muscle continues to relax. Sometimes I like doing a light stretch, putting a light stretch on the trap and levator. Sometimes that helps ease the muscle. And then the subject also had knee valgus on a single leg squat, as well as a left hip hike with a single leg squat. So we'll address the adductors on his right leg. So I like using a hand roller because it's not that easy to foam roll this area. Again, working the entire length of the muscle. Start superior, pause on my way down as I find any tender areas. Just work my way down. All the way down to the inferior portion of the knee. Also, I will foam roll the biceps femoris and lateral gastroc. Exact same way, pausing for 30 seconds as I make my way down the muscle and then any tender areas. Make my way back. Sometimes that lateral gastroc can be very tender. Again, I'm working at the lateral gastroc for 30 seconds. And just work my way on down. Again, you can adjust your pressure by crossing your legs and adding more weight. Good. On top of that, since his hip pike was on the left, we'll foam roll the left TFL and that's right here. So I'll sit sideways like I'm gonna roll my IT band out and then rotate my hips medially just to isolate that TFL. And then I'll just hold that for 30 seconds. I'll release. As for flexibility, we would like to work on the lats and teres minor, as well as the pectorals. So to do that, I like using the ball. Both hands on the ball so we can stretch both sides of the lats. I'm going to stretch your arms forward, let that ball go forward, and perform 3 sets of 20 seconds. Just hold that. If you don't feel like you get a good stretch on both sides, just do one arm at a time. And you're going to feel that all the way down the lat, teres minor as well. And maybe a little bit in the pec minor. This is also good for the pectorals. Set the ball to your side and bend forward as well. I can feel that stretching all the way across the front of my pec major and minor. Again, 3 sets, 20 seconds. And I'll do that bilaterally on each side. And then as for the levator and the trap for the trigger points, to isolate the levator, I'll look down and then side bend. Again, 3 sets of 20 seconds. This also gets the levator and the upper trap. The upper trap is a little more isolated if I look straight forward, pull to the side. Just like that. As for the legs, we will stretch the adductor with a side lunge. I'll feel that all the way from my groin down to my knee. 3 sets, 20 seconds. And then I like doing the crossover. This kind of isolates the biceps femoris here on the lateral portion of the leg. So the leg you're trying to stretch is your stance leg. It's your weight bearing. So cross over with the opposite leg and then touch your toes. And you'll feel that down the posterior aspect of your leg and the biceps femoris. 3 sets, 20 seconds. On to the gastroc. I like using an angle board. You can also use a step if you don't have an angle board or a wall. But you'll want to internally rotate the leg or your ankle and knee. Excuse me, externally rotate so that you isolate the lateral gastroc here. And again, 3 sets, 20 seconds. You're going to try and keep that heel on the ground and then lean forward slightly and relax. Good, and as for the TFL, it's a little bit difficult to stretch. I like taking a knee, shifting my hips forward anteriorly, and then slightly laterally. I'll turn to the opposite side. You can reach if you want, that will stretch. Here you might get a little bit of an oblique stretch as well. But that isolates that tension fascia ladder. Good. Next, on to the activation exercises. For the asymmetrical shift in the neck, sometimes that can be due to weak cervical flexors or deep flexors in there. So we need to work on some chin tucks to help strengthen those. You can either do this sitting without any bracing against the wall, or you can sit up against the wall so that way your posture is even better. But basically I'm tucking my chin posteriorly. I'll do 1 set, hold it for 2 seconds, and then slowly let my neck come back forward. Again, pulling straight back, not pulling down, not tucking my chin down, but I'm tucking it posteriorly. And then let it relax straight forward. Okay. 1 set of 15. Those will progress throughout the duration of the program. And then for traction push-ups, as well as rows, we will work on next. Okay, that's for the protraction push-ups. It's just an exaggerated push-up. My shoulder blades pinched tight, straight core. And then what I'm going to do is protract my shoulders and scapula forward. And then relax. Down for a 4 count. Up, hold for 2 seconds. Down, 4 count. Up, hold 2. Down, and 4. Just like that. And then since the first week, I'll just be using a blue clear band to work on the rows to help strengthen up the rhomboids. So these will be rowing to a 90-degree angle with the elbows, pinching my scapula together, keeping my, it's important to keep the head back and not reach with forward head posture. Again, pull back, hold for 2 seconds. Nice slow 4 count. Return into neutral. 1 set of 15 for this first week, first day. And back. And on to Y, T, and W flies. At least on the first day or two, I will have them use no weight, just so they're getting a maximal contraction out of the rhomboids in the lower and the mid trap. The Ys, I like pointing their thumbs up, creating a Y. And sometimes this may even cause a cramp or two, either within the ribs or the lower trap. Help strengthen up that posterior muscle, rotator cuff. Hold for a 2 count again, and return on 4. Again, T rows, or excuse me, T flies, straight out to the side. Hold once you get to 90, and then back on a 4 count. Touch the shoulder blades back, extend the arms, and then back down. W's. Tuck the elbows. Externally rotate the humerus. Back down. And pause for 2 count. And return on 4. Again, it'll be 1 set of 15 on each of these. Progressing to 3 sets of 10 by the end of the week. Back down. That will be our neck and shoulder exercises to help with the asymmetric neck shift, as well as the slightly rounded shoulders that the subject had. Onto our, excuse me, onto our adductor raises to help strengthen, or excuse me, this would be on the left leg, adductor raises. So just lay on the side. Your left leg, you'll want to raise to about a 45-degree angle. Look for a 2 count at the top. Relax it on 4 count on the way back down. You'd be surprised at how many people struggle with this. It is difficult, especially when adding weight onto the ankle. And again, I'll isolate the glute med on the left-hand side. Lay on the opposite side. Again, raise to about 45-degree angle. And then relax on the way back down. And next we'll do an isolated medial hamstring curl. For this, you need to internally rotate the femur to isolate that medial hamstring. So what I'm doing is I will internally rotate my femur, so I'm internally rotating it, and we'll perform just body weight curls all the way back down. Curl it up, 2-second contraction, relaxing on the way back down, just like that. Also, we'll do that for the lateral gastroc. For here, I will externally rotate or invert the ankle and perform calf raises on the way up. Hold for a 2 count, 4 count on its way back down. All the way up, and I'm just using my right gastroc, 4 count all the way back down. Good. Now we can move on to the integration exercises. We'll start with the shoulders with wall slides. I'm pinching my shoulders back against the wall, externally rotating my humerus, touching my fingers right over my head, maintaining that contraction in the scapula all the way back down. This will be nice and slow. 15 of these. I won't do that many just for example. Next, also for the lower and mid trap, we'll be doing Superman. Just 15, 2-second contraction at the top. Extend those legs and those shoulders. This is also good for the rectus spinae and the lumbar spine. And then relax on the 4 count. Raise up, 2 seconds. Slowly relax on the way back down. Up for a 2 count. Slowly relax on the way back down. All right, glute bridges. These again, no weight as of yet. Knees at roughly a 90-degree angle, shoulders on the ground. I'm going to be creating a nice straight line between my shoulders and my knees, using my hamstrings and my glutes. And back there. Up for a 2 count. Relax on the way back. And I don't want them to push with their arms here. I'd rather you keep your arms off the ground. And back down. A straight line between the shoulders and the knees. Just like that. And then our last integration exercise is a 6-inch box heel touch. So this we'll be doing bilaterally, or at least especially on the right leg with a, which has the knee valgus angle. This will help the glute max and knee, as well as the quad. So I'm going to be heel touching with my left heel. Back up. Nice, slow and controlled. Heel touch, all the way back up. Again, I'll do it this way for an example. I'll use my left leg as an example. Again, I don't want my knee to come in as I'm going down with my heel. I want to keep my knee over my second toe. And then back up, contracting with my glutes. Back up. And that will consist the first week of this corrective exercise program.